Before we begin, a quick note. The opinions and analysis shared on Truth Seekers are our own interpretations of published research and should not be used as medical, financial, or professional advice. Always consult qualified professionals for decisions affecting your health or well-being.
And with that out of the way, welcome to Truth Seekers. I'm Bill Morrison.
And I'm Alex Barrett. Today is December 26, 2025, and we're talking about the revolutionary healing peptide that's never been proven in humans.
Let's get to the truth.
Right, so there's this peptide called BPC-157 that's apparently revolutionizing injury recovery. Tendon damage, muscle tears, chronic pain, healed faster than conventional treatment. Athletes are using it, it's all over wellness circles, and it sounds bloody brilliant. Except I'm reading the actual research and I'm getting that familiar feeling.
The headline versus reality gap?
Exactly that. But this one's interesting because the science behind it is actually quite impressive. It's just not the science people think it is.
Okay.
So BPC-157 is being marketed as this proven therapeutic compound that accelerates healing for musculoskeletal injuries. You can buy it from compounding pharmacies, online research chemical sites. People are paying hundreds to thousands of dollars for treatment courses. The pitch is that decades of research show it works.
And there is decades of research, right? I've definitely seen this one mentioned.
There is 20 plus years of studies showing it accelerates healing in rats.
Ah,
Achilles tendon repairs, muscle regeneration, even spinal cord injury recovery. The mechanisms are fascinating. Angiogenesis, collagen organization, reduced inflammation, multiple peer-reviewed journals.
but we're talking about rat studies.
We're talking about rat studies. And here's what's actually happening with humans. There are exactly 3 published studies of BPC-157 in people. Not 300, not 30, 3.
Wait, 3 studies total?
3 studies total. First one, 14 people with knee pain, retrospective, no control group. Second one, 12 people with interstitial cystitis, no control group. Third one, 2 healthy adults in a safety study that didn't even measure whether it worked for anything, just whether it was tolerated.
So we're talking about, roughly 30 people across all human research?
That's the entire human evidence base for a compound being marketed as revolutionary and sold widely despite the FDA explicitly banning compounding pharmacies from making it in 2023.
Hold on, the FDA banned it?
The FDA classified it as a Category 2 bulk drug, specifically because of insufficient human safety data. And WADA, the World Anti-Doping Agency, banned it in 2022 with this exact language. Because BPC-157 has not been extensively studied in humans, no one knows if there is a safe dose.
Huh.
So both regulatory agencies looked at the same evidence and said, we don't actually know enough about this to allow it.
And yet it's still available.
Still available, still being used, still being marketed based on those impressive rat studies.
Right. Okay, but let's dig into those human studies for a second, because even small preliminary studies can be valuable if they're well designed. What did they actually find?
The first one, published in 2021 by Lee and Paget, followed 14 patients who got intra-articular injections for various types of knee pain. They reported 87.5% had pain relief at 6 months to a year follow-up.
That sounds promising.
Does it, though?
Well, on its face.
Until you look at the methodology. It's retrospective, meaning they contacted people after treatment and asked how they felt. no control group to compare against, no placebo group, mixed diagnoses. Some people had different knee conditions entirely, and some got BPC-157 alone, while others got it combined with another peptide called TB500.
Okay, yeah, so you can't isolate what caused the improvement.
If there even was improvement beyond placebo effect. Knee injections have documented placebo response rates of 20 to 40%. When you're dealing with subjective pain reporting, no control group, and people who sought out this treatment hoping it would work,
That 87.5% could be entirely explained by expectation.
or natural disease course, some knee pain just gets better.
Right. What about the second study?
That one's even more problematic from a selection bias standpoint. 12 patients with interstitial cystitis who had ALL previously failed the FDA's only approved treatment for that condition.
Oh, so these are people who've already tried standard treatment and it didn't work.
Exactly. And they reported 80 to 100% symptom resolution after BPC 157 treatment. But think about what you're measuring there. These are people desperate for relief after failing standard treatment. The expectancy effect is going to be enormous.
And there's a statistical phenomenon there too, regression to the mean. If you select people specifically because they failed previous treatment, you're selecting people at their worst. Some natural improvement would be expected just from time and variation.
Right, precisely. The study used entirely subjective outcome measures, a self reported questionnaire. No control group, no way to determine how much of that improvement is the compound versus hope, time, or placebo.
And the third study?
Two healthy people, safety and pharmacokinetics only. They gave them IV infusions up to 20 milligrams, measured how long it stayed in plasma, confirmed there were no immediate adverse effects. That's it. No efficacy data whatsoever.
So when I add this up, we have about 30 humans total, none in randomized controlled trials, no comparison to placebo, no comparison to standard treatments, no dose ranging studies to establish what dose might actually be therapeutic.
That's the entire human evidence base.
Compared to the animal studies, literally thousands of animals across dozens of studies over 20 years.
Thousands. And here's where I want to be fair, because the animal data is genuinely impressive. The mechanisms they've identified, VEGFR2 activation, nitric oxide pathways, ERK signaling, those are real biological processes involved in tissue repair. Multiple overlapping pathways. This is interesting biology.
It is. And this is what frustrates me about this because the researchers doing this work are serious scientists publishing in respectable journals. The animal data shows effects on angiogenesis, which is blood vessel formation in healing tissue. That's compelling preclinical work.
But, and I hate to be the one to say this, does it matter if the animal science is good?
What do you mean?
I mean, from a practical standpoint, if people are using this right now, paying thousands of dollars, making medical decisions based on rat studies, does the quality of those rat studies actually matter when we have no idea if it works in humans?
Okay, I'm going to push back on that
Go on.
because I think the quality of the animal science absolutely matters. It matters for determining whether we should do human trials. If the animal science was garbage, bad methodology, irreproducible results, no mechanistic understanding, then we'd be saying, this doesn't even deserve further investigation. But that's not what we have here.
Fair enough.
What we have here is good preclinical science that warrants proper phase 2 and phase 3 human trials. That's very different from saying, this is proven to work in humans and you should buy it now.
Right, but my point is,
The distinction matters because it's the difference between this is snake oil And this is a legitimate research question that's being exploited commercially before the science is done.
Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. So the problem isn't the research itself, it's the gap between what the research actually shows and how it's being marketed.
Exactly. And there's historical data on that gap that's really important here.
What's the translation rate? Actually, wait, didn't we talk about this? The mouse tumour study?
Yes, that's right. The exercise and cancer thing.
Where was it? 90% of drugs that work in mice fail in human trials.
Yeah, something like that. Let me think. The NIH data on animal to human translation says only about 5% of drugs that show promise in animal models succeed in human clinical trials.
So 5% success rate.
5%. And there are good biological reasons for that. Rodents and humans have different immune responses, different metabolic pathways, different healing timelines. Even when the animal science is solid, which it appears to be here, the odds of it working the same way in humans are actually quite low.
And we can't know without proper studies.
Right, which is exactly what the regulatory agencies are saying. This isn't an anti science position, it's recognizing that the evidence isn't there yet.
Okay, so the animal mechanisms are fascinating. The preliminary data warrants further study, but the human evidence simply isn't there yet. That's where we are.
That's the honest assessment. And here's something that concerns me when I look at the research landscape on this. All the published studies on BPC 157 report positive effects. Every single one.
Meaning,
Meaning there's probably publication bias. Negative or null findings aren't getting published. That's a red flag for reproducibility.
and when you're dealing with that kind of selective publication, especially from, it's largely one research group, isn't it, in Croatia?
Yeah, one group that's been studying this for decades. When you have that pattern, you have to question whether the positive findings are as robust as they appear.
Hmm. What about the half life thing? You mentioned that earlier.
Oh, right. The BPC 157 molecule has a half life under 30 minutes in both rats and humans, meaning it clears from the system very quickly. Yet in rats, the effects persist for weeks or months after a single treatment.
And we have no idea if that happens in humans.
No idea. Which gets to the dosing question. We don't know if there's a safe dose. We don't know if there's an effective dose. We don't know if those are even the same thing.
Right. And this is where the real world consequences come in, because people are making medical decisions based on this. Athletes with injuries are paying significant money for something with less human evidence than what? Most dietary supplements?
Many dietary supplements, yeah. And the quality is completely unregulated now. After the FDA banned compounding pharmacies from making it, there's no oversight on purity, sterility, or even whether what's in the vial is actually BPC 157.
So it's primarily available through research chemical suppliers who aren't held to pharmaceutical manufacturing standards.
Right.
This reminds me of when I was covering the supplement industry years ago. You'd have these compounds that sounded incredibly promising based on early research, and then you'd test what was actually in the bottles, and it was not that.
Or not just that. Contaminated, wrong dose, degraded. When I was doing A B testing for that health tech company, we'd see users self reporting all kinds of supplement effects. And half the time, we couldn't even verify they were taking what they thought they were taking.
Right, and that's before you even get to the question of whether the thing itself works.
Exactly. So, what's the actual takeaway here? Because I don't want to suggest the science is fraudulent. It isn't. The researchers who've done the animal work appear to be conducting legitimate science.
The takeaway is, hang on, let me think about this. It's understanding what promising preclinical data actually means. It means This is worth studying properly in humans, not this is proven to work in humans. Those are completely different statements.
And the gap between them is where marketing and hope fill in for actual evidence.
When you see something marketed based on decades of research, the question to ask is, decades of research in what? Animal models are a starting point, not an end point.
If you're someone with a chronic injury or persistent pain and you're considering BPC-157, what you're actually considering is participating in an uncontrolled experiment on yourself with an unregulated compound that has minimal human safety data and no established efficacy.
That's not to say it won't work, maybe it will, but you're speculating, not treating.
And you're paying premium prices to speculate.
The proper path is waiting for phase 2 and phase 3 randomized controlled trials, which is how we actually determine whether something works in humans and at what dose it's safe and effective.
And those trials should happen. The animal data is compelling enough to justify them. But until they do happen and show positive results, claiming this is revolutionary for human healing is a massive overreach.
This is what responsible science communication looks like. Acknowledging what we know, what we don't know, and what the evidence actually supports versus what the marketing claims.
The animal mechanisms are fascinating. The preliminary data warrants further study, but the human evidence simply isn't there yet.
And being honest about uncertainty isn't pessimism. It's how we avoid wasting time and money on things that ultimately don't work while missing treatments that actually do.
Next time you see something marketed as proven based on research, check whether that research was actually done in humans, whether it had control groups, and whether it's been replicated. Those three questions filter out a huge amount of overreach.
Promising in rats doesn't mean proven in people. That gap is where good science gets turned into bad medicine. Right, that's all for today's dive into the data. Just remember, everything we've discussed is our interpretation of published research and shouldn't replace professional medical advice.
Absolutely. If you're dealing with health or mental concerns, talk to your doctor, not just us data nerds on a podcast.
I'm Alex Barrett,
And I'm Bill Morrison
and we'll see you next time.
on Truth Seekers.
Until then, question everything.
But verify with data.